Scorpio, stop scrolling. Breathe once slow, deep, all the way into your spine. Because, if you're here right now, it's not because the algorithm guessed correctly. It's because something in you is waking up, and it's loud enough to bend the invisible world toward you. You may not feel great yet. You may still feel tired, guarded, unfinished. But God has a way of revealing greatness before you can recognize it. Like dawn showing up while the city still thinks it's night. And today, Scorpio, the message is simple and unsettling in the best way. You are becoming far greater than you ever knew. And even you don't see it yet. There's a strange kind of holiness in the way Scorpios grow. You don't bloom like a garden. You transform like a storm system forming over deep ocean quiet on the surface. Pressure underneath, and then suddenly the whole sky changes. People around you think you're fine because you don't always speak your pain. They assume you've moved on because you don't beg to be understood. But the truth is, you've been doing some of the hardest spiritual work there is, staying soft in a world that taught you to survive by hardening. Staying faithful when nothing looked like it was moving. Choosing integrity when the easier path would have been revenge, bitterness, or silence that turns into poison. And here's what God is revealing, the very fact that you are still here. Still listening, still breathing through Ushavuv Volcanu. There's not a person I'll persuade. This is proof of spiritual authority being formed in you. The kind of authority that doesn't need applause. The kind that doesn't perform. The kind that changes rooms without raising its voice. Scorpio, you've been becoming a person who can carry weight without becoming cold. You've been becoming a person who can be powerful without becoming cruel. And that is rare. That's sacred. That is exactly why you are being upgraded in ways you can't measure yet. Let's talk about why you can't see it yet, because your greatness is forming in the place. Your eyes don't actually look. Your eyes look at results. Your spirit is being trained in alignment. Your eyes look for evidence. Your soul is learning resonance. Your mind wants a timeline. God is building a foundation. This is how it works. Before the blessing arrives publicly, the capacity is built privately. Before the door opens externally, the lock is changed internally. Before you receive more, you become more. And you've been becoming more in secret. Think about the decisions you made recently that no one clapped for. The moment you didn't react. The moment you walked away. The moment you forgave quietly, not because they deserved it, but because you deserved freedom. The moment you told the truth when a lie would have protected your image. The moment you didn't beg for someone's love because something inside you finally remembered its worth. These are not small events in the spiritual world. These are seismic. The world rewards performance, but heaven rewards alignment. The world tracks wins, but God watches the heart in the trenches. And Scorpio, God saw you choosing the high road while your emotions were begging you to burn the whole bridge down. That choice, that quiet restraint, that sacred self-control, that wasn't you being nice. That was you stepping into a higher timeline. You didn't just behave differently. You became different. And when you become different, reality has to rearrange to match you. That's why you feel strange lately. That's why some things aren't satisfying anymore. That's why old conversations taste like dust. That's why you can't tolerate the same disrespect you used to swallow. You're not becoming difficult. You're becoming accurate. You're becoming honest. You're becoming spiritually sober. And that is dangerous in the best sense too. Anything that depended on you staying small. Scorpio, there's a reason this message keeps circling back to you. Because you've been living in a kind of fog that wasn't depression, not exactly. It was spiritual transition. The fog is what happens when your old identity dissolves, but your new identity hasn't fully formed in your hands yet. It's the hallway between versions of you. It's the cocoon phase, tight, quiet, confusing, sacred. And many people run from it. They rush back to old habits just to feel familiar. They return to old lovers just to feel chosen. They return to old chaos just to feel something. But you didn't. Even when you wobbled, you didn't fully go back. And that right there is the mark of someone who is being prepared for more. Now listen closely, Scorpio, because this is where God starts revealing how great you're becoming. Greatness is not always loud. Sometimes greatness looks like discipline. Sometimes it looks like boundaries. Sometimes it looks like silence, that is no longer shame, but wisdom. Sometimes it looks like you finally learning to pause before you speak. Because you know your words can create or destroy worlds. The old you used intensity like a weapon to protect your heart. The new you is learning how to use intensity as a light. You're learning how to channel the fire into clarity, the ache into purpose, the grief into compassion, the rage into decision. And if you're wondering why you feel more tired than usual, this is why. Transformation is not free. It costs energy. It costs comfort. It costs old selves. Let me speak to the Scorpio who has been fighting quietly. The one who is still showing up for work, still caring for family, still smiling when necessary, still handling responsibilities. While inside you've been doing shadow work that would make most people fall apart. The Scorpio who has been carrying a secret heartbreak, a private disappointment, a long-term financial fear, a loneliness you never post about. You are not weak for feeling it. You are strong for surviving it without letting it turn you into someone you hate. And God is not ignoring the secret chambers of your life. God is not blind to the silent warfare. The reward doesn't always arrive as fireworks. Sometimes it arrives as peace you can't explain. Sometimes it arrives as the right call at the right time. Sometimes it arrives as a door that opens so smoothly you almost forget it used to be locked. This is also why things have been shifting around you socially. Some people feel distant. Some people feel irritating. Some people feel like they can't reach you the same way. That's not arrogance. That's recalibration. When your frequency changes, your relationships either rise or reveal. And sometimes God reveals people by removing the fog you used to see them through. You begin to notice the subtle manipulation, the draining conversations, the one-sided energy exchange, the way your kindness was being used as a permission slip for their laziness. On Scorpio, you are done living in spaces where you have to shrink to be tolerated. So what is God revealing about your greatness, specifically? 3 things: quiet, simple, undeniable. First, God is revealing your endurance as a spiritual gift. You have survived endings that would have shattered most people. And you didn't just survive, you learned. You metabolized pain into wisdom. You turned grief into depth. You turned disappointment into discernment. You turned betrayal into boundaries. That's greatness. That's spiritual mastery. That's the kind of inner wealth that precedes outer wealth. Second, God is revealing your intuition as a compass, not a curse. You used to doubt your gut because you wanted to be fair. You wanted to give people a chance. You wanted to believe the best. But lately, your intuition has been sharpening like a blade, clean, precise, unbothered. You're starting to feel what's true before it's proven. You're starting to sense what's aligned before it's explained. And that's not paranoia. That's spiritual intelligence turning back on. The part of you that used to second guess is being replaced by a quieter knowing. Third, God is revealing your heart as stronger than your fear. Scorpio, you're not closed. You're careful. But there's a difference. Closed is a wall. Careful is a gate. And you're learning that the gate can open for the right energy without opening for everyone. You're learning how to soften without surrendering your power. T'attirer. T'attioli. That is what prepares you for relationships that don't drain your relationships, that mirror you, sharpen you, bless you, meet you. Now, because your sign carries Pluto energy, the death and rebirth current, your blessings often arrive disguised. Your breakthrough might not look like winning at first. It might look like a conversation that exposes the truth. It might look like an ending that feels painful but clears your path. It might look like a delay that saves you from a trap. It might look like being removed from one environment so you can be repositioned in another. Scorpio, don't confuse discomfort with distraction. Sometimes the ache is the old timeline breaking apart. And in the days ahead, here's what I want you to watch for, not as superstition, but as self-awareness. Watch for the urge to cleanse your space. Watch for the sudden clarity about what you want. Watch for the craving for solitude that feels restorative instead of lonely. Watch for the random idea that won't leave alone. Watch for the moment you finally say, I'm not doing this anymore, and you mean it calmly. Those are markers of your greatness forming in real time. Situant ritual, not the universe, but TP gent air ein. Choose one color that feels like your power: deep indigo, obsidian black, garnet, or a quiet charcoal. Wear it or place it near you. Then write down 3 things you're releasing: 1 fear, 1 attachment, 1 story about yourself that is outdated. You don't need drama. You don't need performance. Juste honesty. Fold the paper and put it away, or safely tear it up, as a symbol of closure. Then place your hand on your heart and speak 1 sentence that sounds like you. Not like a script. I am ready to become the person who can hold what I've prayed for. T'adorcite. That's enough. That is you choosing the new timeline. On Scorpio. I have to say this part with tenderness. Some of you are carrying heavy anxiety about money, security, and stability. You've been trying to stay calm, but your mind keeps running the numbers at night. God is not mocking you for that. God is not offended by your fear. But God is inviting you into a new relationship with security, one where your security begins inside you. So the outside can finally match it. Not by manifesting harder, not by forcing. By stabilizing. Be focusing. By moving 1 step at a time in the direction of long-term value. The kind of greatness you're becoming isn't just spiritual poetry. It's practical. Itegate suis. It's the Scorpio who finally invests energy where it multiplies, not where it leaks. This is also why your love life or your idea of love has been shifting. You're not impressed by intensity anymore. You want truth. You want steadiness. You want a connection that doesn't require you to abandon yourself to be chosen. And that is a sign of growth. If someone comes in now, they won't come to save you. They'll come to mirror you. They'll come to reflect the part of you that you're finally learning to honor. And that is why you must protect your energy not by closing, but by discerning. Not everyone who wants access deserves entry. You might be tempted to rush this season because you can feel something changing. Donust. Let it ripen. Let it deepen. Let it become undeniable. Greatness doesn't need you to sprint. Greatness needs you to stay consistent. Keep your routines simple. Keep your promises to yourself. Keep your inner world clean. Drinkwater. Sleep when you can. Return to your breath when you spiral. Scorpio, your body is not separate from your spirit. Your nervous system is the altar where transformation lands. And as we near the end of this message, I want to seal it in a way that protects your channel and your people without killing the vibe, because truthfully, this kind of message is best held like a candle, not wielded like a sword. This narrative is a mirror, a reflection of a potential timeline. A story whispered into the universe for those meant to hear it. Take what resonates. Scorpio, hold the pieces that feel like warmth in your chest. And release the rest like smoke into the night sky. This is not a promise carved in stone, and it's not a substitute for real-world help when you need it. It's spiritual encouragement, a compass for the soul. A reminder that your choices matter and your inner work is not invisible. If you feel overwhelmed, reach out to trusted support. Because even the strongest Scorpios were never meant to carry every battle alone. Now one more breath. Because here is the closing truth. The kind that lands quietly, but changes everything. God is revealing how great you're becoming. By changing what you tolerate, what you chase, and what you believe you deserve. The old version of you begged for signs. The new version of you becomes the sign. The old version of you waited to be chosen. The new version of you chooses yourself. The old version of you feared the dark. The new version of you knows the dark is where seeds break open. So, if this message touched something real, anchor it softly, simply, powerfully. Type it in your comments, in your heart, and your lot, and I'm becoming. And then live like it's true. Not loudly. Not perfectly. Just honestly. Because, Scorpio, you are not becoming great someday. You are becoming great in the quiet decisions you're making right now.